G'day, I'm Kevin Young. I'm Australia's most successful property investor, but I started out poor and I'm constantly being asked, how do you do it? How do you get there? You ask me, I'll give you the solutions. Between us, we'll make you wealthy.
Nick asks, why do you love property?
Well, I don't like property so much, I like what property can do for me. So welcome back to the second episode of Ask Kevin Young. When the property goes up in value, don't sell it, that's one of the tips. Simply borrow some of that money and go overseas and have a great time with your friends. In the club now, we've got over 4,000 people and we're regularly travelling around. And one of the most inspiring places I've been to is China. And hence, I brought that idea back and made it a theme in one of the rooms in my place. Now, Chinese property must be cheap, right? No, it's very, very, very expensive. And that's why the Chinese are coming out here buying our property, because they know our properties are cheap. But you wouldn't believe it looking at the media, would you? As I said last week, I've never seen a journalist who's wealthy. Just negative, negative, negative. But if you compare capital cities around the world, we're about the 17th dearest. So we've got New York, London, Rome, Beijing. These places are much, much dearer than us. So that's why they're coming here and seeing our properties as bargains. The properties you're looking at now for about $500,000, in 20 years' time, we'll be worth 4 times as much, $2 million. The same as 20 years ago, they've moved up 4 times. And that's why I love property.
Sue asks, what advantage do the Chinese investors have over Australian investors in Australia?
And the big one is that overseas people, whether they're Chinese or not, are borrowing at a much lower rate than Australians are. And that's why I think the Reserve Bank is nutty and will have to bring rates down to 1.5%. At the moment, these Chinese are coming in and paying only about 2.5% for the money. How does that affect you? If you're in the same building as them, you have to get a higher rent to cover your costs. They can get a lesser rent and still cover their costs. They have a rent advantage. So I think in these complexes where the Chinese are, we're going to see a big drive down in rents. That's why I think you should avoid the areas where the Chinese are going, because they can survive, you can't. One of the traps. So how do you make money out of this situation? I'd avoid the areas where the Chinese are going. I'd avoid the areas where there's big tall high rises being sold, because it's just like the Gold Coast surface strip. Too quickly this might just be overloaded with hundreds and hundreds of apartments which sag the rents, sag the values. So in the club we're avoiding these areas and we're looking for areas that they can't market to the Chinese because the complexes aren't big enough to sustain the overheads of going to China and getting them back here to look at it. So we're looking at the suburbs that are outside that inner perimeter of the cities and areas that are still very hard to supply with more and more properties in the market because you can't put big high-rise there. So they're the openings in the market I think that we can benefit from, the Chinese coming out and buying the wrong sort of properties. Hope you've enjoyed this second episode, and I hope it inspired you to get wealthy and stop paying tax. And hope you share this with your friends. I need your questions so I can make you wealthy. Please share it with your friends, and remember, #AskKevinYoung.